Hello and welcome back to the channel. This is Living Naturally Wild and I am back at the plot. It is a grayer day than it has been recently, but that's not going to put me off. It's not supposed to rain. There is a little bit of drizzle in the air, but it's not supposed to get any worse. It's supposed to get better. Anyway, as you might have seen behind me, I have a yellow sack. I have acquired some offcuts of fence panels, pallets, and it wasn't from Free Cycle this time. It was actually from Facebook Marketplace, completely free once again, because I am a renowned tight ass. I don't believe that we should be spending loads of money at an allotment plot. The idea is to keep costs down, and a local fencing company advertised loads of scraps of fence, and when I went there was like bits of fence, bits of pallet, some stakes of certain descriptions, and I have a sack full of stuff. I'm going to show you through it in a second. But what I'm going to do, and the plan of action for today, is I am going to try and make up the two beds here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lay what I've got out in strips, try and gauge what I might need or what I have got and what I can work with. And then based from that, I'll either work out how high they can be and how many I can get. So it's kind of like, it's going to be a jigsaw mishap, kind of like just a hodgepodge of random materials that are just going to make up the beds. But I'm going to give it a good shot. I have a drill with me, I have a saw, I have a pencil, so I've come equipped this time, and I'm just going to give it a go. So let's have a look at what we've got in the bag. So you'll have to excuse me, it would seem that my mic has died, so once again the sound is going to change. However, I was just talking us through this bag. So as you can see, I have random lengths of batten, some longer lengths of batten here, some either pallet wood or fence panels, like I have like this little offcut of some picket fence of some description, and just loads of random bits of timber. So what I'm going to do is I'll get some sort of time-lapse video set up, and then I'll lay out all of the bits of timber I've got, work out roughly what sort of batten I've got and what I can use, work out the size that I can make, and I'll also work out how high they can be, and then as and when I see fit, I'll stop the video and I'll talk you through any bits that I do. So let's get on. Coffee, I'll talk you through what I'm doing now. Essentially all I'm doing is denailing all of the scrap bits of wood, putting the nice clean bits cuts here. I've sorted out the lengths of batten over there, and essentially I'll just gather up all the clean bits, and then once I've got all the clean bits, then I'll be able to lay out the beds. So there we have it. I've lined up all of the offcuts along the back fence there, just so I've got a visual representation of size. And then now I'm going to lay them out on this path, see what I've got. I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to join them. I know on the corners I'm going to use as much of this batten as I can. But in the middle, what I might do is use these shorter lengths to stand upright and then screw into them, but we'll see as I go along. Let's lay them down and see what I've got to work with. So yeah, that's it. I've decided that I've got two timber thick beds. The paths are about 70 centimeters width, so that's about 70, that will be about 70, and that will be about 70. I'm not 100% sure how big the beds will be, but I'm not really fussed about size of beds. It's just mainly that I can get down these paths and kneel down to, you know, tend to the beds if necessary. So I've used up double timbers on each of these beds, so I'm going to start fitting these to batten or fitting these to timber. I'll make up the lengths and then I'll join them as I go. So as you can see on the ends here, I've found lengths of timber that are pretty much the same width. I'm gonna screw that onto the batten and then I'll hammer the batten into the ground in a second. But yeah, there we have it, one whole bed complete. There is a little bit of a gap at the bottom. I'm not too fussed about that. I think over time, once we get our paths established, and I could always pin a bit of membrane up there, but because we're working with scraps, it kind of is where it is. It just gives us a rough guide. So yeah, as I say, I'm not too fussed about little gaps at the bottom. It's mainly to get something that resembles a bed in. So I'm going to get cracking with this last one, and then I need to go home and get some longer screws so I can attach to there. Right, so this is the last one. I would have talked you through what I was doing a lot more as I was going, but there would have just been a lot of moaning and groaning. My back is sore today and I'm suffering, but I'm not going to moan. I'm going to get this in place and I'll just explain just now at the end what I've been doing. So I've been just trying to make up the lengths as best as I can as they are, and then what I'm doing is at the end I'm just offering them against this. Drilling a couple of pilot holes and then just simply attaching onto the end. And in some cases, like this end, I'm having to just cut the end off, but in most cases it actually looks quite decent.
Later that same evening.
Right, so I'm back and I have much needed coffee. Plan of action. I've got cardboard with me. I bought my knife, so I'm going to cut back the sheet, put some cardboard down over the soil that's exposed. I'll use some of the tree to put over the top of that. I may not put in all the beds because it's a little bit acidic when it breaks down, and depending on what I want to put in certain beds, it may not make complete sense to put in both the beds. So what I'm leaning towards is putting it in one bed and then topping that with some manure and compost, and then the other one I'll just put manure and compost in that one. I've also bought some seeds, so I've got some broad bean seeds, I've brought some peas with me, and I've also brought some leek. So if I can, and if I've got time, the plan is to get some of them sown and some of them in the ground at some point. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to do that today. I may start the leeks in trays. I'm not too sure. I'll have to read up about it because again, I'm learning, so I'm not 100% if they go straight into the ground or not. So I'm going to play it by ear. But anyway, right, so I've cut back this sheet and ideally I need a staple, but for now I've got these pegs. So I've pegged them back and that will just create that seal. But what I'm hoping to do is at some point pull this up high and staple it to the side, so as it creates a seal around the edge, little bit like that. But that'd be the plan. But I've got staples back at in my workshop, but I haven't got them available today. So yeah, but that is what we've got. So again, I'm gonna put some cardboard in here and I'll come back once I've put the cardboard in. So there we have it. The Christmas tree is in this bed on top of cardboard. There's just cardboard in that one. And I think moving forwards that it makes sense that, again, as I said earlier, that this one is a more acidic one. Maybe offers me an option to put potatoes in here either this year or next year, and I can mound up around it, and then that gets a lot of organic matter back into this bed if I don't use it this year. Or I can keep the potatoes in this bed as originally planned and put something else in there. But I'm also thinking as well, because that's going to be a slightly shadier bed, so from that end moving forwards it gets hotter because of the way the bushes are there and the way that the sun comes around. In the height of summer it isn't going to be too bad, but in these earlier months these are going to be the hotter beds, so I just think it makes sense for now. So I'm going to get cracking. As I said, I'm going to start moving manure and spreading it out between all these beds, and then I'll get back to you once that's all done. Right, it's been about an hour since I last checked in, and it's looking really good. I've got all the beds done. I've spread out the beds here and put compost on top. I'm going to put the sheet that I cut out these new beds over the top, and then there's timber at the back over there that I'm going to lay on top to keep it in place. I haven't got any compost to put on there right now, but I will do that in due course. However, as you can see, it is looking a lot better. I found this is from Upcycled again, and I found the little basket, so I'm going to put some flowers in here because I do want to prettify it. I want it to be nice for the kids when they come up here, something for them to touch and smell. So I don't just want it to be boring vegetables. I say boring vegetables, vegetables are definitely not boring, but as far as the kids are concerned, unless they're ready to eat or to pick at like raspberries and strawberries like that, it's going to be quite boring. So, you know, if there's nice flowers, as I said previously, we've got this bed back here that we're letting the kids grow their own things in there. One of them's picked sweet potatoes. I don't know how well they're going to do because they are, I think, a tropical potato. I'm not 100%, but one of them's sweet potatoes. One of them is Little Nicky, I want to say, flowers. We've got strawberries, and then we did have a lily, but that got changed to a dahlia. So there's a dahlia, strawberries, sweet potatoes, and Little Nicky going in there. How it's going to work, I have no idea, but the idea was they can divide that into 4 and grow whatever they want. So they've decided to grow them things, so we'll see how they go. It might clash. We may find that the sweet potato just take over because I think they're vining, so we may find that takes over, but that's the fun. That's what it's about. It's learning, isn't it? So if it takes over or that they don't go well together, we know that for futures. Anyway, I'm going to tidy up. I'm going to have a part-in shot of the allotment, and then I think I'm going to call it. You probably won't see these covered today, but I think that's it for today. What I might do, I haven't done the seeds, so I think I've got an hour or so tomorrow. So if I get a chance, I may come up here in the next few days and try and get some seeds in. But for now, that's that. So again, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and let's grow together.